Good evening. Before we start, if you are a Spanish-speaking family, please log into the link at the bottom of this screen for a translated version of this presentation.
Bienvenidos, tenemos una transmisión en vivo por separado para nuestra comunidad de habla hispana. Para unirse y escuchar, sigan el enlace en la parte de abajo de la pantalla. Muchas gracias.
Thank you. Thank you for attending our Superintendent's Family and Community Update this evening. I am Lynn Carmen Day, your Chief Academic Officer here in Riverside, and I would like to introduce our Board President, Kathy Allaby.
Thank you, Lynn. From your Board of Education, welcome. You know, many school districts across the country have simply canceled the rest of the school year in the face of the pandemic, but RUSD is offering alternatives of online learning to try and fill the substantial gap that our stay-at-home orders have created. And while we're doing our best to make this interesting and engaging for our students, this is a far from perfect way to deliver the education your students need. And we do not pretend that online learning replaces the magic of the classroom, but we are all working our hardest to make this a soft landing for your students. My thoughts today are centered around gratitude for our students who are working hard, for our parents and families of our students who have been incredibly accommodating, for our creative teachers and staff who are finding ways to do work, and for our principals and administrators who are busy, it seems, 24/7 trying to assist you. Please keep being flexible and patient with us. It is May 14th, and we have only been at this a full 6 weeks. We will get better in time. And when it's appropriate, we will welcome your children back to our classrooms when it is safe. Until then, please stay healthy. Back to you, Lynn.
Thank you so much. I want to tell you what we're going to cover this evening. We're going to give you some updates as we usually do, and then we're going to talk a little bit about end of school year. Primarily, the end of school year information will be around graduation. We have had many questions about graduation, many requests. It will not be as much Q&A, but we will be answering those questions in our end of school year graduation portion. And then just a real quick note on opening of the school year and some additional information. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to our esteemed Superintendent, Dr. David Hansen. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Carmen Day, and thank you, Mrs. Allaby, for that greeting this evening. And I concur. My sentiments are a heart filled with gratitude for the patience of the community, for the patience and support of our students, and for our parents, and especially for the staff, who truly is, I think, working harder and longer hours than they've ever worked to bring to you the things that we have the last 6 weeks. And so no small feat, and my appreciation is for everyone in RUSD that is working to keep our kids up and going the very best that we can, as Mrs. Allaby talked about. And we're going to get better as we move forward. All right, next slide. Let's jump right into the updates that we have for you. So you know that last week our county supervisors met, and also Dr. Cameron Kaiser refined or revised the orders that we have been under. And the changes that you see on the screen in front of you in blue were the changes in face coverings, social distancing. However, they're strongly encouraged. They were not required. However, schools were exempt from most of that order, meaning we are essentially to remain closed through June the 19th. And we're all under the governor's orders, which is to require that we conclude to stay at home. So we are continuing to stay at home, maintain our space, keep our distance, and to be safe when we go out. And so while we have a little bit of flexibility in the county from having them lift those orders, we still are, as a school, not up and going like we had hoped to. Next slide, please. Meal distributions. So proud of this team. They have literally been working 2 shifts around the clock to provide the meal services that we've been providing. We continue to serve at those 15 locations, a few of our elementary schools, all of our middle schools, and those parks that you can see there. Our meal service, we did land on, as you know, every Monday and Wednesday. Mondays, they pick up meals for Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesdays, they pick up meals for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And we have been doing that for the last few weeks. Now, we had good news that our Chief Business Officer and her team shared with us yesterday in Cabinet. And we received a grant from the federal government. I think it's like $240,000, which allows us to continue the meal service all through summer at these same 15 locations on Mondays and Wednesdays like we're doing. And so we're very pleased that we can provide that service to our community as we move into the summer. Next slide, please. You can see right there, that's a big number. Nearly 750,000 meals we have served in the last 6 weeks to our students, and also in the community. Meals on Wheels is a service where homes or meals are delivered to our elderly throughout the community, and we are providing those meals and delivering them. Of course, we continue to support a local daycare center in downtown and the shelters to include Salvation Army with a variety of meals. And so again, very proud of this team, very proud for the board for, of course, making the decision to let us not just support our own kids in meal service, but the needy and the most vulnerable in our community. So kudos to the RUSD Nutritional Services team. Next slide. All right, we want to talk about the end of the year. There's been a lot of discussion around graduations. You know, early on, we made the decision to have this virtual graduation, and I know that caps and gowns were distributed a week ago because I have a senior. Videos were made and sent in, and now they're being uploaded for this virtual graduation, which is going to be held on May the 30th on various YouTube channels, because all of our high schools are going to be doing that virtual at 6:00 p.m. However, around us, like in San Bernardino County, in Orange County, we saw what was termed drive-through graduations. We saw one in Rancho Cucamonga a couple weeks ago, and a lot of questions came to us. Why aren't you in drive-through? Why can't we do that? Why did you make virtual? But remember, we were under different county orders. And why we chose the virtual is because our county orders did not allow it. We could not even have the drive-through parades. Our schools wanted to have these drive-through parades, and we got a call from our county leader saying, stop it, no drive-through parades. And so we were under different county orders. And it's not that we weren't listening to you, because we were listening, it's just we have different orders. Well, as of last week, you heard that our county orders have loosened up a little bit, to where now that there isn't the social distancing per se out in public, and masks are no longer required, just highly recommended that we do those kind of things. And so our Board of Education asked us to reach back out to our senior leaders, which we did yesterday. Mrs. Kathy Alavie, our board president, and I, Dr. Ryan Lewis, assistant superintendent, high school principals, high school activity leaders, all of our student body class officers, our senior class officers. There's probably, I don't know, 50, 60 of us on a large Zoom, and we started checking in. First off, we asked the kids, how are you doing? How are you doing? You have your principals, you have your superintendent and top leaders on this line. What do you need to tell us? What more can we do for you? And I need to tell you, I'm so impressed with our seniors. They're very adult, they're very mature. We heard what they said across the board, and I'm experiencing it too. We all have COVID-19 fatigue. We all have Google Classroom fatigue or Zoom fatigue. This has not been easy. But one of the things we heard from a lot of them too is, can we do these drive-through graduations? One young lady said, I was so strong to do virtual and in-person a month ago, but it's changed. She says, now that I see Cal State's made the announcement that we're not going to have classes through the remainder of the year 2020, now that Dr. Fauci's come out and in a Senate hearing said he strongly encouraged that schools may not come back the fall. Of course, while we have not made those decisions just yet, it's changed the seniors. And the majority of them said, could the district please consider having a drive-through along with the virtual? And so last evening, the Board of Education came together, because we're allowed under the governor orders to provide our board with COVID-19 updates regularly. And under the leadership of Mrs. Alavie, she pulled the board together, and last night the board made a decision to, yes, staff, high schools, we want you to plan drive-through graduations. And so that happened just last evening. We're announcing it to the community today. Individual high schools and ceremonies will communicate their plans to you. I can tell you this, they're all going to be the week of May the 26th. That was the normal week for graduations anyway, the traditional way where we come together, which we can't do. So look for, from your leadership, specifics to the drive-through graduations taking place that week. And then on that Saturday, the culminating event, if you will be the virtual graduation Saturday evening, May the 30th at 6 o'clock p.m. And so we heard you, we listened to you. Thank you for being patient with us and our specific orders that we have as we are being obedient folks here in the Riverside County. So that's the biggest thing there. And then of course you can see other things on this slide that we've already talked about. So if you have questions on particular end of the year, again, call your principal who is in charge of your specific drive-through graduation. Next slide, please. All right, start of the school year. I get a lot of questions. The board gets a lot of questions. Teachers are getting a lot of questions about what are you going to do with school and how are you going to start the school year? Right now, not exactly sure. I've told you what Dr. Fauci said at the Senate hearing. I've mentioned what our Chancellor White for Cal State has done. And our county superintendent, Dr. Judy White, she's the leader over all 23 school districts in the county of Riverside. She's put together a task force. And 5 of us, I'm one of those, is on this county task force. And our first meeting begins this Monday coming up. And it's to discuss reentry and the start of the school year. You can see there are 6 themes there in the blue we're talking about on this task force. Of course, there's the fiscal impact, there's instruction and learning, there's special education, health and safety, early childhood, and then of course, personnel considerations. And our district was allowed 5 people on that task force. We have parent representation, we have folks that can speak to facilities and health and safety. I'm on that task force. Then of course, we have folks that can speak to instruction. I do know in conversations that we are in, it is how do you meet the needs of all? If we can have some hybrid, can some kids come back and sit in the classroom full-time or part-time and do some things online? You know, and it can't, and I'm sure it'll be asynchronous. I'm sure it'll be live instruction. I'm sure it'll be maybe some where we can in person. All those things need to be discussed, plans need to be made, but we need to meet the needs of all students, all families, and all staff. Now, this task force that the county's put together is going to put something out in writing by June the 1st. At the same time, we have our own task force, and there's going to be a lot of student voice, a lot of parent voice, and a lot of staff voice on our task force, which is going to be a lot more than just 5, like we are allowed to be on with our COE. That task force is meeting, and we will talk about that, probably more details, our next community meeting that's going to take place that first week of June. But just so you know, we are started those discussions, and we are 1 district in 23 districts in our county, and we are under the leadership of Dr. Judy White that's helping us lead through the reopening. So more to come on the start of the school year. Next slide, please. Distance learning, family support. Dr. Lewis, are you on the line? Can you address this briefly in the next couple slides, please?
I am, Dr. Hansen. Thank you. We have 2 updates for the community. Number 1, we have heard from many of our families, many of our principals, that we have some students, especially in preschool through 6th grade, who need supplies at home to do the work and continue to engage in distance learning. So we are excited to offer, thanks to all of our staff, on May 18th and May 20th, at all of the meal service locations. If your family has a preschool through 6th grader, when you pick up your meal, you can also pick up a kit. And in that kit, you're going to have some pencils, a pencil sharpener, some crayons, and a spiral notebook to help especially our elementary school students while you engage in distance learning. So again, that's May 18th and 20, next Monday and Wednesday at meal service locations. You can pick up one of those kits for your students for pre-K through 6th grade. And then on the next slide, we have 2 more opportunities for families. We are going to, on May 14th and May 21st at 6:30, we will be offering 2 sessions on modeling healthy habits and also how to manage stress during with COVID-19 and staying at home and all the different things for families and for students. So if you're able, please log in and attend. And if for some reason you can't make it, they will be hosted and recorded and made available for later viewing. So thank you for our teams putting those together as well.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. And of course, today is May the 14th. that's where we're holding our meeting this evening. Now we're early at 5:30 so that you can jump off and be part of this evening's parent webinar that's going to start here shortly at 6:30 p.m. So thank you, Dr. Lewis. Anything else on this slide from you, Dr. Lewis?
No, thank you.
Okay, then I just want to express again my appreciation to the community for your patience, to the students for your very mature adult-like conversations and your thinking. We know this is not an easy time. We know that we're all feeling COVID-19 fatigue, but you can see what happens when we all work together. And we have been working together, and in many ways, this has brought us closer together, even though we're distancing from one another. So thank you. We'll continue to be in touch with you. I'm going to let this go back to our Chief Academic Officer, Lynn Carmenday, who organizes these each time. Thank you, Lynn, for doing that, you and your team. And we look forward to seeing you at our next community update here shortly. Back to you, Mrs. Carmenday.
Thank you, Dr. Hansen. So just a reminder, some of the resources are available to you. You've heard that we we'll be having a community meeting again. We think the best time for that will be early June, so that date will come to you. We think that's when we're going to have an idea about the beginning of the school year, so we think that's a good time. You also know about the family webinar that's following this meeting, and then again on the 21st. Remember, there's a hotline if you do have questions and COVID-19 concerns. You have a lot of information on our website, so please join us there on the link that you see on the screen. For those of you who are still looking to garner enrollment appointments, there is a website that you can go to, and also a phone number to call if you would like to make an appointment for that. We have served many, many families. Then for distance learning, if you do need some technical support, please do email us or make a call, and we would love to support you in that as well. Again, going on to the next slide, you'll see that our next meeting will be in early June at this same time. And then finally, you can always reach out to us for help. On our last slide, you see the link and the phone number, our hotline, so please do reach out if you need help. In the closing of the meeting, I just want to celebrate our seniors, the class of 2020. You are amazing, you are mature. I loved hearing your enthusiasm for the end of the school year, your appreciation to the district, and may we just say that we care so deeply for each and every one of you, and we're excited about your future, as we do care so deeply for our families as well, and each of our students. So on behalf of the Board of Education, our district, thank you so much, and we'll see you again early June. Thank you.